Hello everybody, thank you once again for tuning in, and today is a little bit special because I'm going to talk about something that not a lot of people, I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and these are spiritual contracts. And when you come, before you come into this earth, or when you come into this earth, you have a spiritual contract, and I'm really trying to make it as easiest way to understand possible. So that's why I'm calling it a spiritual contract. We have a huge spiritual contract, which is part of our spiritual mission. But within that mission, there's other contracts, subcontracts that we have, which are like our parents, the people that we are going to be with, people that are going to cross our lives, that are going to make an impact in our lives. What are we going to do with ourselves, and what we need to overcome. So when it comes to spiritual contracts, it's really your life's purpose. But within that, it's like, take a look at your relationships. Take a look at every relationship. We're not talking about just like mom, dad, boyfriend, girlfriend. No, we're talking about like a wide range of relationships in your life, whether it's your boss, that person, especially the person that you don't like. You have a contract with that person, and that person is here to teach us something. It's always a lesson, it's always a contract. And so I really want to make this a conscientious topic, because it really helps us kind of open up our minds a little bit more. Because if you're having problems in an area of your life, that means that somewhere along there's a contract in there for you to like succumb something. And if you having a troubled relationship with someone at work or your parents, well, that was also created for a purpose. If you find yourself in this position that you're caught up in some sort of conflict with someone, or something, it doesn't have to be only a person. Ask yourself, what can I learn from here? First of all, tell yourself, this is for a purpose. What would that purpose be? What is it that I have to get out of this? And a lot of times it has to do with letting go of the ego. A lot of times it has to do with just accepting the person or the situation, and forgiving the situation or yourself or the person. A lot of times it has to do with letting go, and letting go doesn't only have to be with forgiveness, but letting go has to be with kind of just acceptance and just understand that is the way it is. We have all kinds of contracts with people, even with your pets. Even with your pets, these are contracts. Like, I know that when I became spiritually awakened and I was with my dog Chloe, I realized, oh my God, my dog is really supposed to be with me. Like we have a contract together, because our relationship is not just a regular, dog relationship. I don't know. The thing is that there's no such thing, you see? Like, it's so hard for me to dumb it down, because there's no such thing as regular, there's no such thing as normal. These things are all set up perfectly. Everything is perfectly aligned in a way for you to advance spiritually. And it may not mean so much living in this earth plane, because you're like, well, I'm a human being, and I have a whatever job, I work 9 to 5, and I don't see the spirituality in that. But there is, I promise you, that is your ego and your body speaking, but you have a soul. Remember, you're inhabiting this body. So there is a purpose. Maybe your purpose, maybe your contract was to work a 9 to 5 so you can learn what it is to be confined into society standards. And sometimes, not sometimes, but many times, not even many times, I'm so sorry. I just have so many thoughts at once because I want to say so much. But when you go through a midlife crisis, that means that is your soul no longer wanting to do what it was told to do. That is your soul breaking away from society's standards. And that's why a lot of people that go through a midlife crisis, they're like, fuck it, you know? They're just like, I'm done with this shit. Whether it is the marriage, whether it is the job, and you start to explore all these other areas of yourself, and you start to rebel, and you start doing all kinds of wacky stuff, right? But to you, it's like you're like, fuck, I'm finally finding myself. I'm finally doing what I want to do. So that was a contract. That was a contract for you to kind of fall into society's standards, become a robot, you know, quote unquote. And then, but then, you know, there's also free will that plays in. When are you gonna break away from this? When are you gonna become, you know, the person that you're really supposed to be, the person that you're meant to be? So this is really important. This is why contracts, these spiritual contracts come in. And if you become awakened enough, you start to realize that your name wasn't given just because it was given to you. Your name has a purpose. Your name has a deep purpose. And also the day you were born has a deep purpose. Nothing ever is random. There are no such things as coincidences. So this is what I mean by contracts. You know, everything is perfectly aligned underneath, and it's made to look random. You know, when we meet somebody that takes our breath away, and we meet this person randomly, like we always do, that wasn't random. You guys made a contract before you came down here, before you both came down here, and at a certain moment in your life, you were going to meet. Now, it's not so much about, oh, we're gonna meet at the grocery store and it's gonna make to look random. No, it's more about vibration. When I reach a certain vibration, then the forces will align and we will meet to go through this journey until we no longer have to go through it again. So this helps very much to see things a lot easier when it comes to loss, because nothing is ever really a loss. Everything is really a lesson. So a lot of times we believe that we're supposed to be with somebody forever, and that is really not the case. The case is more like, this person you had a very strong contract with, this person was here to teach you many things, whether it's also contrast. Contrast is basically things that are not so fun about life, right? But these things of contrast are the ones that kind of set you on your way for you to go after the things that you really want, right? Maybe going into that marriage and seeing that that's not really what you wanted later on, because it made you so unhappy, is what really will offset your spiritual journey or your self-loving journey into doing something that you really want. So we are meant to be in this world to experience contrast, you know, the good and the bad. Without the bad, we wouldn't understand the good. We wouldn't appreciate the good, and actually we wouldn't understand it. We wouldn't know. It would just be there, right? But we are constantly trying to go towards what makes us feel better. That is why we want money. That is why we want love. That is why we want expensive cars. That is why we want to live in a big house. That is why we want that promotion. Because we're constantly trying to, in a very subconscious way, in a very ingrained way, we're constantly trying to go into or do something that will make us feel better. That's why we drink and do drugs. And that is contrast, right? Drinking and doing drugs is of a lower vibration. And I mean, I'm not trying to say anything terrible about drinking and doing drugs if you know how to control yourself, and you're doing it maybe socially or just a little bit. But we're talking about, like, when it takes a hold of us, then it's like you are not living your contract. Your contract was to understand that it wasn't good for you and for you to go into what's good for you. But what happens is that sometimes we get caught up in our fears and our insecurities, and this has a lot to do with society too. Society hasn't done a good job in teaching us spirituality at all. Society and the church and things like that, they teach us about a punishing God. Yes, now more and more there are churches that are coming out and they're being awesome and they're teaching really great things, but this is actually quite recent, and there's still a lot of churches that teaches that God is, this man with a white beard and he punishes you. I know I grew up Catholic, and I grew up thinking that when it thundered, that means that God was mad. So, I know a lot of us can relate to that. So we grew up feeling all kinds of guilt because we want to do something different. And this is where I'm getting at. It's all about authenticity. It's all about being your true self and finding your true self. And that is how you are able to live your contract and live the contracts of all the people that are going to come into your life. And just remember that there's also free will. You don't have to do these things. You can stay in fear, or you can stay in wherever it is in your 9 to 5, in your comfort zone, and you won't probably live out that contract. But there is always going to be that little part of you that is going to be like, I want to do something bigger. I want to do something more. So this is that contract and that intuition and your heart telling you, hey, you know what? We're here to do something more. So please pay attention to me. I think that's all I want to say in regards of contracts. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's a very general outview. You're more than welcome to leave a comment or ask me any questions. Send me a message. This is a very tough topic because I'm trying to really make it as simple as possible. And I know I can say a lot more, but one thing that I really want to stress is that nothing is random. Everything happens for a purpose, and things are made to look random in this 3D reality, but underneath there's a lot of divine order. Everything is in divine order, and everything comes in divine timing. So just remember that, guys, alright? I love you all. Mwah.